You're listening to Seattle Real Estate Podcast.
Now, I know you were probably thinking, when is the best time for me to move to Seattle? Because we've got so many good things going on here, so many good trends heading in the right direction that everybody wants to come here to live, to take part of all the festivities and great stuff going on in Seattle. But I want you to hold your horses for just a moment because we've got trouble in paradise. Here's today's topic. Turmoil surfaces in Seattle City Council's push to reimagine public safety. We're going to defund the police. We're going to reimagine. We're going to rethink. But hold on, hold your horses. Seattle City Council, we've got some back and forth. We're paying $3 million for some kind of study-ish. We're trying to get some forward progress here. Well, the rethinking and the reimagining, it's hit a little bit of a roadblock. Let's check it out. Let's see what's going on. Seattle Times article. And if you're new here, thanks for joining. My name is Sean Reynolds. I own a couple of real estate companies and I read the news. I read the news that impacts real estate, public safety, the police. That definitely impacts real estate because when you're in a neighborhood that's not safe, not so good. Safer neighborhoods, much better. All right, enough of that chit chat. Let's go. Last fall, in one of the biggest victories for the movement to defund the Seattle Police Department, the Seattle City Council awarded a $3 million contract to a community coalition to research new ways to assure public safety. Here is $3 million for you guys to reimagine and rethink, come up with something new. Let's see what you got. I hate to be critical of all this stuff, but every time I see one of these things go out, I'm kind of like, really? $3 million? Couldn't that have been handled by somebody already in government? I don't know. Call me crazy. But isn't there like a committee somewhere that's supposed to be doing this stuff instead of contracting out $3 million that the city needs in a time where we've got budget deficits like there's no tomorrow? I don't know. The whole thing just to me is like, what are we doing? That coalition, the $3 million contract to a community coalition, that coalition, King County Equity Now, was a leading organizing force behind last summer's protests against systemic racism and police brutality, and one of the most prominent voices behind the push to defund the police. King County Equity Now. But the city-funded research project has now been tossed into turmoil. We've got turmoil amidst our rethinking and our reimagining. And that's what the lead researcher is saying, that they're parting ways with King County Equity Now. We got to go. And here's why. Amid accusations against King County Equity Now leadership, the leaders of King County Equity Now, they are accused of abusive communications. Delayed paychecks, we're not paying you. And dismissing the lived experiences of some Black community members. Man, I don't know what to make of that. We got delays. We're going to have delays on this project. There's nothing more you can say about that. So you've got a parting of the way. How long has this been in place? Like 6 months, maybe-ish? Well, let's see. CHOP was last June and July into July 1st. That was the shutdown. So it really can't be any longer than a handful of months, and you've already got this coalition and this group of people together for a project. They have already gone splitsville. So that was a marriage that lasted a matter of a few months. Many teams of researchers have been and will continue to finalize this work, and we will continue to hold ourselves to the highest standards of research ethics, community accountability, and transparency, Sean Glaze and Latanya Sevier, the co-leaders of the research project, said in a public letter Monday. Doing this work alongside King County Equity Now while holding on to these commitments has become untenable because the environment created by King County Equity Now senior leadership no longer facilitates doing the work in an accountable, well-stewarded way. Stuff going on, stuff behind the scenes. Now, we're not going to be privy to exactly what happened, but somebody got their feathers ruffled, right? Glaze, in an interview, said their work would continue and they are committed to completing the project with the goal of reimagining public safety. Now, when I hear the words reimagine public and safety, I kind of think to myself, God, you got to have a plan in place first before you start reimagining. If you want to reimagine and rethink, you got to kind of hold what you've got together, because otherwise you are proposing stuff without any real plan moving forward. And that's exactly what's happened in Seattle when you defunded the police, you cut their budget, and then now you're going out and you've got this group, this committee who's, they're committed to trying to reimagine and rethink public safety. How's that going? Well, according to this article, not too swell. The city's contract to conduct the research, called the Black Brilliance Research Project, is not actually with King County Equity now. In order to sidestep requirements that the contract be put out for bid, what? Let me read that again. In order to sidestep requirements that the contract be put out to bid, it was awarded to Freedom Project, a Seattle nonprofit, who then subcontracted much of the work to King County Equity now, Seattle City Council Insight reported. So I think that had to do, I did a podcast on this back when this was first a big deal. And I think the issue was King County Equity now was not a nonprofit, and now they are, something along those lines. I can't really remember. It didn't make a lot of sense then. It makes zero sense now, but it's like, okay. That contract is now under examination by the Washington State Auditor. Wah, wah, wah. All right. So much of this stuff, you're kind of like, all right, it's like the $112,500 a year that we were going to pay, the $10,000 a month. What was it? I can't remember. To Andre Taylor for his role in de-escalating violence here in Seattle. He was paid, over $100,000 to do that for a year. I don't even know what happened with that. I'm sure we'll see an audit on that as well. But you hear about this stuff being put together, and then you don't really ever see any results. It's like, what happened there? I wonder what happened there. Show me what happened there. Well, what we're seeing here is you've got a splintering of this process, right? Glaze said that ultimately not much would change, but that Freedom Project would now hire subcontractors directly rather than having King County Equity now hire subcontractors. What are these subcontractors doing? What are they doing? Because when you hire a sub to build a home, you bring one in to do the drywall, another to do electrical, one to do plumbing, one to do HVAC, maybe a little roof work, maybe some trim and molding, maybe install the cabinets. They all have specific tasks. But when I see hire subcontractors for this stuff, I'm kind of like, all right, to do what? Don't really know. And I think we'd be hard pressed to find out. We're going to get into a little bit here in not too far down the article, but it's kind of like, do you guys know what you're doing? What are you doing? What is going on here? Who knows? But whatever it is, it's being audited, and we've got a breakup going on, right? Glaze, who uses the pronouns they and them, said they had been working without a contract, but anticipates that they will be compensated for this work out of the city contract or another funding source. Got to come up with that cash, that hard cash money somewhere, right? City Council member Tammy Morales, whose office is managing the contract, said Monday evening she wasn't yet aware of the specific grievances in the letter, but the work itself remains critically important to inform policies that impact Black and Brown communities. All right. But the whole thing is going sideways, it sounds like. Is it not? I can't tell. It's being audited. What's going on? Don't really know. The city council awarded the contract over the objection of Mayor Jenny Durkan, who vetoed the $3 million contract, saying she supported the concept, but it was too expensive. Too much money. When the mayor is saying it's too much money, it's when you know it's too expensive, right? I support having community-based organizations lead some key parts of the research and process. However, some of the work can be done by executive departments and the legislative branch for much less money, Durkan wrote. Also, I do not agree as council's fiscal note states that the community-led process should work toward a goal of having the city having life without a police presence. Let me read that again. Also, I do not agree, this is what Jenny Durkan is saying, I do not agree, as council's fiscal note states, that the community-led process should work toward a goal of having the city having life without a police presence. I agree with that also, because you've got crime rising in Seattle, not going down. And to eliminate the police force, that would be a social experiment that would really be something. Let's put it that way. That would be special. That would be unique. That would be a difficult and trying time for everybody in Seattle. That's something I don't really want to see, but hey, if you're over in Seattle and you're okay with that, if you're down with that, keep voting for your politicians. More than 100 people, some paid, some volunteers, have contributed to the research, leaders have said. Okay, what research? When are we going to see it? Do we have any kind of guideline? Because when you hire a sub to do a house, you've got a time frame, you've got a goal. Here's our action items. This is what we're going to do. Do we have any sort of that? I don't know. Or are we just reimagining and rethinking and getting paid by the hour like an attorney? I don't know. Kind of feels that way. Or we're just going to talk about reimagining and rethinking till our $3 million budget is gone, and then we'll put out a report and nothing will really happen, and that's probably what will go on. The research seeks to lay out a process of participatory budgeting in which community member will guide how the city spends up to $30 million in funding. That's less than 10% of the Seattle Police Department budget, right? The preliminary report includes hundreds of pages of responses to a survey seeking opinions on how community members would spend funds. How much is a survey in SurveyMonkey? You know that little thing you ever get in the email every now and then where you do a survey? Or maybe at the beginning of a video in order to pay for that content creator's work, you do a little survey. It's like watching a commercial. We've got hundreds of pages of responses to a survey. That's a lot of survey responses. Does that mean anything? No, it doesn't. Glaze, it does mean something. It's like, okay, this is what these people are thinking. Now you got to do something with it. What are you going to do? Glaze, along with King County Equity Now leaders, Amijah Smith, and Trayana Holiday, presented preliminary findings to the City Council last week. Let's see what they came up with. There's people on the ground who are the experts. And King County Equity Now, by bringing all of those experts together, has really been able to create a sense of connectivity amongst all of us, Holiday told the council. But I thought we've got a breakup here. I think we got a split spill here. I don't know. This is very confusing, right? But these tensions were simmering under the surface. In Monday's letter, Glaze and Sevier wrote that they are specifically referring to King County Equity Now's 3-person senior leadership team and the board that would not hold the senior leadership accountable. Issues. We need a big box of tissues for all of these issues, right? That 3-person leadership team is Smith, Holiday, and Isaac Joy, the group's president and CEO. We've got trouble in paradise. In a written statement Monday, King County Equity Now said, "We take our responsibility to steward resources very seriously. As we move from a volunteer initiative to a formal nonprofit, we're taking necessary time to slow down, create, and implement expanded, improved structures and processes with many more community members in the conversation," the group wrote. All I hear is a bunch of rhetoric. Am I wrong? We're talking about stuff. We're going to create and implement expanded, improved structures and processes with processes with many more community members in the conversation. Okay, when are we going to actually start to see some of that? When are we going to see the results? When are we going to see a plan in place? Maybe it's too early. Maybe I'm being too hard on these people. But the fact that we've already got an audit going and we've got a fracturing of the group because of some accusations of stuff doesn't seem like a good start to a long-term project, does it? No. In the meantime, crime is going up in Seattle. What are we going to do about that? Are we going to reimagine that somehow? Are we going to rethink that somehow? I don't know. It's happening. It's going on. Crime isn't going away. Got to do something quick. Defunding the police? Is that your answer? Is that your thinking? You're going to eliminate the police? I mean, even the mayor is like, I don't really agree with you eliminating the police, that's probably not the best call. I'm kind of right there with her. This is one of those times. Yeah. So this is where we're at on that $3 million project to kind of get some new thought processes going along the whole reimagining public safety. I would like to reimagine public safety along the lines of people commit crimes, arrest them, put them in jail for a long time if they deserve it, like the law says. And when police actually arrest somebody, have the prosecutors prosecute them for their crimes, for their said crimes. You know, maybe we start off with to the full extent of the law, and then we'll see how these crimes go down the road. You take enough criminals off the street, do you know what'll happen? Less crime? I'm going to throw that out there. Less crime? Deterrent to crime? Maybe so. I don't know. That's kind of where I would like to reimagine and rethink things. But then again, I'm just a real estate guy. I don't have a $3 million budget to do some stuff that we're not really clear on and what is happening, to do a bunch of talking about stuff. Because in small business, when you have a project and you have a budget, the outline is very clear. You execute it and you move on because you don't have time for anything else. This project here, I don't know. Show me some results. Be more than happy to look at what you're doing and see if it makes any sense whatsoever. But in the meantime, I'm going to be critical because I see so many of these things, they get created and they get bogged down in, micro politics and he said, she said, they, them, all that good stuff. And people can't really agree. I would like to see something come of this, but I'm not holding out hope because that's a lot of taxpayer money. It's $3 million. It's a lot of money in a time where you don't have money to be just, throwing around. There's not money just sloshing around in budgets. People think there is, but hey, you got a budget shortfall. You got to use that money wisely. And when your mayor is saying, that's kind of expensive. Yeah, maybe it is expensive. So we expect to get an expensive amount of really good information out of this and an action plan, 10-point action plan that we can implement and see crime go down. That's what I would expect as a citizen. That's what I want to see from a governmental project that's been authorized. But that's just me. All right, that's it for me on this one. Thank you for being here. Best way you can support me and support the podcast is to share the content. You know that little share thing? It's got line going up, line going down, and two little dots on it. Just means share. Why does that even mean share? Just like this angular thing. Hit that. Send it to somebody you think might not hate this podcast. See where it goes. That's the best thing you can do. Thank you so much. Thanks you so much for being part of the Seattle Real Estate Podcast. I will catch up with you guys on the next one. Until then, bye for now. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel and hit the notification bell so you'll know when our next video is out.